Welcome back to episode 24. So there's been a bit of delay in this episode because I've been waiting for some bits to arrive so I can do the second part of the fuel distributor rebuild. And that's namely a fuel and ethanol proof sealant which arrived today. So I'm really pleased I can start cracking on with that again. I still want to try and do my crazy plan of getting the fueling system all laid out on the bench here using the correct fuel lines, the injectors and everything, squirting into little containers so we can check whether the system's balanced and stuff. I'm quite looking forward to that as a mini little project. I've also been cleaning up the fuel lines ready with my wire brush. They're coming up pretty good. I've got 4 done, I've got another 4 still to go. And in the background I've been tidying up other parts of the engine, reassembling bits, but I'll give you a quick walk around so you can see what I've been doing. So that's how the front of the engine's looking at the moment. I've got the all the cam covers on, and interestingly I thought there were 4 pieces to the cam cover, but there should only be 3. It's just mine's got, if I can point, there's a crack down here that I thought was just sort of like an organic join. It's sort of, if you can see, it's sort of a very nice sculptured curved join. That's where it's cracked. But either way, I probably will replace that sometime in the future, but it's fine for the moment. But that's coming on quite nicely. Everything's torqued up there correctly, apart from the crank. So I think what we'll do today is attempt to put the 8 little O-rings on these. Let's call them springs. I don't really know why. Just visually inspecting them, see what they're like. Okay. Looks okay. This has all been cleaned up and I've replaced those O-rings already. So let's have a go at putting one on. Got them here in my bucket. A little blob of engine oil. Let's see how hard they are to put on. Okay, they're straightforward to put on, so let's just put a few and see how we do. I think I can pull these out a little bit, can I? Maybe not. I think the springs you can push in or out. Yeah, so that one probably needs to pull out a little bit. Okay, all 8 on. Not so bad. So let's just go straight ahead and try and insert this back into the body. I've got my marker that I put for the, let's make sure you can see it, there's like a little cutout on the top of this, and I've put a marker so I know where it lines up. And what I'm trying to do is make sure that the holes inside that feed each of these injector bits actually line up with the O-rings. So I believe it's pretty much there. I'm just looking around to see which of the O-rings is sort of fouling, which I need to just push in a little tiny bit. I can feel with my nail as I work around. What's going on? They're okay, it's going in. Okay, so let's just get my line again. And basically, if I just do it on camera, you can see, just make sure you can see it. What I'm looking at is this line through that injector, which lines up with my marker here. So I'm just making sure that all lines up. Oops. You stare at it for a while. I think I'm good. Back a fraction. Still turns fairly easily. It's about there. So let's just push that down. Tiny bit. Again, I'm just looking down each of the injectors across the O-ring, trying to make sure they're lined up. This will obviously affect the amount of flow we're going to get. I think we're pretty good. There we are. it just clicks in then. Okay, so we're in. Right, so another job we need to do is get the distributor in. So the engine is at TDC, which I believe is correct. I've replaced the O-ring here. I've got a new arm on. I'm going to put the cap on in a little bit. As I understand, this should slot in without too much problem. I guess I just don't know what it does when it slots in. Oh, now I do. Okay, so clearly that has gone in and clicked all the way down. It has to be TDC because that's where it can mesh the cogs against the cam, I believe. Right, that is fully seated because it's right on the connector here, so that's good. I just need a securing bolt, and I think we're on there. And to put the distributor cap on, which will go on there somewhere. I won't worry too much about it now. Somewhat along those lines. I'll just give you a quick zoom around this side of the distributor cap. What I was missing, I hadn't put the green wire back in, the infamous green wire, with its sort of securing clamp, and that's what the distributor cap sort of reaches over and holds on to. Then on the other side, just walking round, on this side it had been reassembled incorrectly, and this little clip that it sort of this arm loops over was actually pointed in this direction, so I've just rotated that and that now fits. So that's the cap back on. My question though to you guys is, there's the original cap with its black, it's got like a black rubber surround on it, this thing. It does come off, but when you look, just turn it around, you can see that it's the same, you know, it's the same cap with this. It's got like a black plasticky rubber thing on, but it's got these sort of copper tabs, one here and one on the other side, that are holding it in place. Now I could just cut through and I'm sure this cap will come off, but it seems wrong and I can't tell whether that's some kind of earthing thing or what. If anyone knows, please shout. As I say, I could just cut it off and then just slide it on here, and it'll be held in place on here by the HD kit lead, so I'm not too worried about it coming off or anything, but it's a bit of a mystery. I've popped all of these fittings back in with new copper O-rings and things, so they're fine. They're not tightened up, but they're ready. So the two halves are almost ready. What I need to do now is let me just put this one back. Right, now I need to put all of the fittings back in with my diagram so we can work out what we're doing, which order they all go in, and take from there. Okay, so let's go ahead and install the all of these banjo fittings. I've got a ice cream tub here with some brake cleaner sprayed in. I'm going to use as sort of a sheep dip. Each element item I'm going to put in there, wash it, and then assemble it. This one I've just done. And what I want to do is use a little tiny bit of this sealant. You can see it's like blue. I'm just going to put it around the thread. This is what I was waiting for before starting my assembly. Just a tiny little bit. I'll let the cat in, otherwise it won't stop me out. Okay, I've got all of the 8 washers, springs and little shims on the top there in place. Now what I'm doing, I'm just thinking through, this is the old diaphragm, I'm just sort of sizing it up. I've got obviously a brand new one, but I don't want to get that scratched or anything. I'm just thinking how to do this because I want to put sealant on. And I'm just trying to work out how best to do that with it in place, with all these springs and things in place. I think what I'm going to do is squirt some sealant out onto a dish and then just sort of paint it around all of this. then put, actually I'll do it the other way around. So I'll put the sealant on the top. This is the top, isn't it? It's the top. No, it's the bottom. So if I put sealant on the bottom and stick the metal sheet to this, then put sealant on that and then lower it on top of the top half. I think that's the way around. Okay, let's do that. So for the first time, I'm also going to try out the plunger. I forgot the name of that now. Let's just see if that fits in there. And obviously it came out of here. I've put a little bit of oil around it. I'm hoping it just slides in. It's supposed to go in. It's one of those sort of perfect fit things, so I'm hoping it does. Not the right way. It's just if that goes in there, it's a very tight fit. I'll just keep trying it over and over till it decides it wants to go. I feel if the inside edge feels smooth, it does. A little bit more oil. Be a matter of it sort of working itself in there a little bit. I don't want to damage this, so just doing it very gently. Because I should have done this before putting all the springs in place. But you live and learn. No, it does fit. I'm just surprised it can go up and down. It feels so tight. There we are. Okay, so it does go. It's quite a tight fit, so I'm curious how that will go up and down, but no, it does. It's just a very perfect fit, and that's unbelievably perfect. You can see it, how smooth that is. Wow. Okay. Well, at least it's got some more in there to help it lubricate. Right, so I'm happy that's there. So let's go ahead then and put the sealant on here. I'll get a tub and stuff so I can squirt some sealant out and then we'll paint it on there. So this is the sealant I've gone for. I searched quite a lot to find a fuel and ethanol proof non-setting gasket join. And this seemed to be not necessarily the only one, but this is the one I bought. It was about £7, something like that, for quite a reasonable size, 100 grams of it, so it's quite a lot. Then I noticed in the kit that came with the rebuild for the distributor, it says on here the different ones you can use. Down here, Permatex anaerobic, don't know, gasket maker, Loctite 542 or similar. I've got similar, but I'll just show you that in case that's useful to anyone. Alright, so let's squeeze out some of this. So I'm going to use the smallest amount. Let's refocus you, because I bet you're not focused now. That's good. And let's go for it. Let's just see what happens. I'll work around the edge to start with. So that's how much I'm putting on, just so you can see it. So I don't know how much to put on, but that's what I'm putting on. This is the metal screen. Now, there's an important bit to this. If I just focus you, it's upsetting the camera a bit because it's shiny. There's an important bit here. If I just turn around, there's a tiny little hole. It's almost too small to see. I don't know if it shows up on the camera, but there's a little tiny hole. That is the warm-up regulator hole, and that needs to line up with that hole there. So, let's check it's clean. I'm going to pop it on gently and trust that lines up. It looks like it does. Right, moving on to the top half now. I'm going to do the same game, slightly more delicate because all the springs and washers are in place. If I'd thought about it, I probably should have done that afterwards, but it is what it is. I'll rattle around, try and do it a little bit quicker. Quicker and more delicately so as not to hit the springs and washers. Brilliant. Okay, I think we're done on the top half now as well. So now what I'm going to try and do is lower the bottom onto the top gently without disturbing any of those shims and springs and things, and press the two together. So I'll zoom you out so you can see a little bit better. Let's see if I can do it. It's quite tricky to see, but it looks good. Looks okay from what I can see. I know you can't see from there, but I'm looking down the side. I'll give you a quick shot. So what I'm doing is looking in this little gap through the middle, and I was rotating it just to see if I can see each of the springs with their little shim on top. And I can, so I think we're okay. So, assuming we're all good, I'm going to press that down a little bit harder. That's about as hard as I can press. Oh, we are down this way. Okay, good. And then I'm going to put some of the bolts in. Right, I managed to find the torque sequence online. I've tidied up the bolts a little tiny bit. But basically, I just wanted to get, there's a little bit of rust on the thread, which I just wanted to take off. I'm going to put a tiny amount of sealant on, not sealant, sorry, copper grease on the threads, just because I don't want them to rust in there. So I've installed the shim and the nut. I've done the nut up, not very tight. The tutorial I was watching said between about 3 and 5 Newton meters. I think that's probably bent up enough. Has scratched a bit of the paint, but it's fine. That's bent up enough that that can't now turn. You can probably just see that. And there we are. That is one rebuilt distributor. Oh, last thing I need to do is torque up these the banjos on top. I'll get that done in a second. So there you have it. Rebuild of a Bosch CIS fuel distributor. Wasn't so bad, although obviously I'm only talking about the practical side of things. I've got no idea whether it works, whether I've sealed it correctly, whether it's balanced and all of the above, but we'll try and cover that in the coming weeks. That would be a really interesting project to do. And we've made quite good progress on the engine as well, getting that, the distributor cap and distributor in there, the water regulator. I feel like everything's starting to come together now. I think in the next video what I'm going to do is, there's a couple of bearings inside the MAF sensor to replace. So I'm going to do those and rebuild the MAF unit, put the distributor back on top of that, and then connect up the fuel line so we can walk one step towards getting it running on my bench. It might be a couple of weeks, I would have thought. But as ever, thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you've not already, and I'll see you next time.